Hello and welcome to another episode of Legion by the Numbers. I'm Joe Eames, and in this episode we're going to be looking at the Blackstone Enforcers, the core unit for the other mercenary release that has been spoiled quite a bit so far, the Blackstone Enforcers. We're going to look at their offensive output. We just looked at the Pike Syndicate, so check out that video if you haven't checked it out already. We're going to do the same thing with the Blackstone Enforcers and kind of look at their offensive output capability. Be sure and hit like and subscribe, of course, if you like this content. I put out quite a few of these videos every week, and it's nice to be able to get notified about that as well. Now, before we get into the actual analysis, I'm going to give it a little bit of a hot take here, just like I did with the Pike Syndicate. I thought the Pike Syndicate were the dumbest looking unit that I've ever seen put out in Star Wars. When I saw them in the Clone Wars, I have no idea what's up with those weird masks and things. And Black Sun, I don't even remember seeing them in the shows. Maybe they were in there and I just didn't notice. I'm also super disappointed that those were another unit that came out. I don't think they're particularly cool in any way, shape, or form. Maybe they'll be a fun unit to actually have. I'm not personally excited about them at all either. So I hope you have more excitement about them than I do, because I just think that they're a super underwhelming unit to be adding to the game. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe it'll be great. So let's check out our Blackstone Enforcers, kind of get a basic idea for what they are and what kind of analysis we're going to do on them using the dice simulator. So the Blackstone Enforcers, they are different than the Pike Syndicate. The Pike Syndicate had range, wrong one. The Pike Foot Soldiers, they had range 3 and a black, but the Blackstone Enforcers, they're only range 2 with a black and a white. So they're a shorter range unit, makes a big difference, but they do have the red defense dice, a lot better than a white surge to block that the Pike Syndicate had. So they're going to be a tougher but shorter range unit. And their close quarters is a red die. So that's, I think, pretty interesting as well. They do have Precise 1. Interesting on a short range unit. Be able to have that, and they have the Independent Aim 1. They get the aim tokens. They have the Precise. Those two work a lot together. So I like that. Dauntless, in comparison with their low morale, can help out a little bit. But there is some interest to this. The range 2 is tough. It's good die, a black and a white, but it is a short range unit. Now let's check out their personnel. We have just the regular old Blackstone Enforcer, but he adds Cash Dodge 1. Not going to affect their offense, but does make them a little bit more survivable. A dodge plus red defense dice. Pretty nice. And then we have the Blackstone Vigo. He adds Independent Surge 1. Your courage gets increased by 1, and he becomes your leader. The Surge is actually going to be pretty nice. Red defense dice with a Surge, that's going to make these guys super survivable. If you've seen any of my previous videos about surges with red defense dice are oftentimes better than having a dodge, or these guys are going to have an easy time having both. Plus they have the Independent Aim 1. This is a pretty survivable unit, and those surge tokens, you probably want to be holding on to them for when they get attacked to keep them alive. That first surge token is really valuable, so that's something to keep in mind. So we're going to start off with just outfitting these ones with just the regular Blackstone Enforcer. There's only a 7-point difference between them and the Vigo, and with that extra surge token, I think that that's probably a really good idea and a lot more points efficient to use the Vigo, but we'll just start with the Blackstone Enforcer. Now let's look at their two heavy options. The Magdet Enforcer. This guy is range 1. He has Blast, Ignore Cover, and Impact 3. I think Blast at range 1 is kind of an interesting and maybe not the best. It's by the time you get into range 1, a lot of times cover goes away at that point. But Impact 3, huge, but still range 1. Like getting into range 1 against armor, unless there's like a flamethrower, spider droid, or ATRT coming up at you, I don't I don't find myself getting into range 1 with armor a lot. The big heavy tanks and stuff, they tend to stay back. The Rebel bus, it does like to get up and close, so maybe that's something. Good against Rebel bus. I just don't love the short range impact units myself. So I'm not in love with this Magdet Enforcer. I don't think for me, this is a weird unit. You can get a lot of this out of buying grenades, other than the impact. But again, I don't think the impact's going to come into play a lot. So not a favorite unit of mine. The Scattergun, on the other hand, 2 red, Pierce 1, obviously a great a die there. The interesting thing about this one is it's also range 2. So you do not have any range 3 options at all with these Blackstone Enforcers. These guys are very, very, very much centered around being short range. But by the time you get to short range, you might want to be sticking with the Pike Syndicates with their whip guy, just because that makes a huge difference. A lot of the short range fights you're going to get into are going to be against Jedi, and locking them down is one of the best things. A sacrificial unit that goes in there, fights them, but locks them down is one of the best things that you can do, because that makes them vulnerable to getting attacked by multiple units at range. So maybe there'll be ways like throwing these guys on some kind of a transport to use them so that they're short range, or you play them kind of defensively, hide them, and then pop them out once they get into short range. But your enemies are coming at you, and you can take a defensive position. So neither one do I love, but let's start with the Scattergun Enforcer, and we're going to output them this way, or outfit them this way. Because they have the black and the white, and they have the independent aim one, I think it's a really good idea to give these guys targeting scopes. I think that's going to make a big difference, that extra precision. And then I think maybe when we try outfitting them with a Magnet Enforcer, we'll also give them a grenade instead of the targeting scope. So this is an expensive unit, 91 outfitted this way. That's an expensive heavy, that 28 points. I've certainly clones get a lot more expensive than this with even just phase 1 clones, but this is still not super cheap. Definitely more expensive than the Pikes, so something to keep in mind. But and they're more limited on what factions they can be part of, apparently. So here we go, 91 points for the Black Sun. They have 4 units base, so with the Enforcer, that's going to be 5 of those, and then the Scattergun gives us 2 red. So 5 black, 5 white, and 2 red. We do have the Pierce 1. We're only at range 2. There's no surge there. They have the aim 1 independent, so I think for the most part these guys are going to have an aim token, so we're going to just automatically give them an aim token. They have the precise 1. The targeting scopes give them precise 2. So that'll be interesting to see. We'll probably need to look at this. Is it actually worth giving them that targeting scopes, or is that kind of a waste? We got the Pierce 1, we got the 2 red, we got all the die. The Blackstone Enforcer does add that cash dodge 1. That's not going to affect their offensive output, but makes them a little bit more survivable. So there's our outfit there. That's what we're going to go with. We'll start with just a typical red block heavy cover at range 2. Yeah, that's going to happen. And let's just see what we get here. And that's doing 2.7 points of damage. That's kind of what we were expecting at such a short range, expensive unit. We didn't put in the points. Let's put those points in there. 91 points. Just want to double check that. Yeah, 91 points. Roll that again. 33 points per hit with that. If you, for some reason, gave them an order, so you don't have the aim, I think this is really rare. It drops it down to 2.0. So that aim makes a big difference. But let's look at, so it's 33.4-ish points per hit. If we got rid of the targeting scopes, that's 4 points. That brings it down to 87. Cuts down our precise 2 by 1. It's basically the same points per hit, and the average hits, like your chance of missing, even against red and heavy cover with so many dice. And this isn't a miss, this is like doing no damage, but with the aim token, with precise and Pierce 1, your chance of doing no damage is essentially nil. It didn't make a big difference on damage and made the points efficiency a little tiny bit better, 33 instead of 33.5. So based on that, I'm going to take off the targeting scopes and say that targeting scopes are not useful on these guys. They're precise 1, and they're always having an aim is good enough. The additional precise just has a diminishing return on value. So we're going to keep with this 87 points at that. Now, what about, oh, that was red search to block. Let's redo this. We aren't going to be red search to block. So we have the aim, we have the precise, we have the pierce, everything. Red, no surge, heavy cover. We are doing 3.4 points of damage against them. That is tons of damage. The additional precise for 91 points, and that's 25 points per hit. This goes up to slightly more, so it's slightly less efficient. So unless you got points to spare, definitely keep that targeting scopes off of these guys. You could look at recon or something to give them that extra range. That's probably a better idea. Get them a little bit closer in at the start of the game. So that's red, no surge. Let's look at white surge to block. So we were doing 3.4 before. With white surge to block, we're doing 4 points of damage, and still in heavy cover. If they have no cover, 5.5 points of damage. That's just crazy. These are nuts quantities of output. If you can get within range 2, these guys are crazy. I wonder, it'll be interesting to compare them to the Rebel Fleet Troopers, which are like the most points efficient. But yeah, these are just absolutely nuts numbers. So many dice you're throwing out. What about against B1s and say heavy cover? You're still doing 5 points. If you catch the B1s without cover, 6 points of damage out there. That's just crazy. That's really just crazy. Always having an aim, always having precise. And they can move and shoot, so they're kind of close to having range 3 anyway. They have the aim for free because it's that independent. If you just don't give them an order token, they already have precise, and then they're pretty survivable with the red. These guys, I'm really shocked. I'm really surprised about this. These guys are great. These are a high damage output. I wish they looked cooler. I don't think they look very cool. Honestly, not at all. So now we've done that, let's go back just a little bit. I don't need to reload that. We'll go back to the red, no black, heavy cover. And let's now put in the Vigo instead of the Enforcers. That takes them up to 94 points. I still don't think there's any gear that really is going to make much of a difference there. I mean, obviously you could put in prepared supplies if you wanted like to have an extra dodge and make them more survivable, things like that. But I don't think that much is going to affect their damage output. So that takes them up to 94 points, but now they have that independent surge 1, more courage. So this is that surge token can really make a difference. I think you're usually going to want to look at use it on defense, but you could have that roll where you have that key surge token and suddenly it does 1 more point of damage and you want to use it on offense. You don't think you're going to be attacked. So we're going to give them the Vigo. That's 94 points. And now you have a surge token. Same thing, you don't lose the aim, you don't lose the precise, you don't lose the pierce. So still really good. Red, no surge, and heavy cover. Let's see, without the surge and the 87, is that right? Is that what we were at when we had 7 points difference? So yeah, that's right. Let's just remind ourselves what the damage was. 25 points per hit at 3.4, and then at 94 points with the surge token, red, no surge, heavy cover, slightly less, so it's slightly more efficient and doing a little bit more damage. That is really probably very worth it to have that Vigo. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw maybe some kind of a points increase, because having that surge token available to you on defense, really good. So this here, I like this unit. It's expensive, 100 points. That's an eighth of your army, but that's a pretty good one. All right, now we're gonna flip over and do the Mag Det Enforcer. We'll leave the Vigo up. Our points drop quite a bit. We'd gone down to 80. We lose the 2 red. We gain 3 more black. Blast, impact 3. So we might be doing some pretty decent. We didn't look at how these guys did against armor. Let's just do some quick white, surge to block, no cover, armor. 1.7, red, no surge. 1.5. So they're still doing really good damage against armor if you can get at range 2, which isn't so bad. Range 2, not too bad. All right. With the Magdet Enforcer, we are now at 80 points. Let's switch that. And we've lost our 2 red, but we've gained 3 black. And we have blast, so we'll never have to deal with cover. And we have impact 3. We lose our pierce 1. But we're still going to leave the Vigo on, so we've still got the surge token. So red, no surge. They won't have cover anymore. No armor. This guy, again, you have to be at range 1 to use this guy. But that's 3.8. That's a lot of damage output and 20 points per hit. There was like one scenario, I think the B1s, where it was better points per damage. Using that other weapon. Of course, more range on them. Now, I do think that there's a possibility here, looking at if you're going to give him anyway and you have to get to range 1, why not go with like the frag grenades so you get the surge to crit on top of it, and you can switch those black and white on your other 5 units to a single red. So let's look at that at 85 points. And surging to crit, and we're going to get rid of all but 3 black. We're going to get rid of all of our white. And now we're going to have 5 red. Same thing. We still got the blast from the black, the Magdet Enforcer. You still have the impact 3, but we're not going against armor. But what does that do instead? So the damage is down a little bit, and it's actually, this is crazy. It's less efficient. Maybe this is because, I mean, it's a few more points, right? Just a few more points to have those frag grenades. Maybe it would be better to not utilize the red except for on one of them. So we go to 1 red to give us our surge crit, so 1 grenade, and the rest go back to a black and a white. That precise and the aim is probably the difference there. It's better to do that. And so we go to 7 black and 4 white, and we try that. And there we go. Yeah, that's our best. Although the points efficiency is no better. So yeah, this will definitely help against armor, the surge to crit. But without the frag grenades, we're doing slightly less damage, but the points per hit is the same. So the frag grenades aren't any more efficient against troopers, but they will be against armor. Of course, with impact 3, it may not even matter. So let's go back to our guys. You get into range 1 and you're looking at armor. So white, surge to block with armor. He's doing 3.35. Red, no surge, armor, doing 2.5. That's a lot of damage against armor. The critical, the precise, the surge, that doesn't really make much of a difference there. But the aim with the precise, impact 3, that's a lot of damage against armor if you want to get into range 1. If we go to the frag grenades, this is going to help. So we go to frag grenades with the crit. We lose 1 of our white, 1 of our black, and gain a red. And does that do any better against armor? Yeah, it does. So if you really are outfitting these guys to be an anti-armor unit, then you might want to go with with that frag grenade. You can play around with this, maybe try different combinations using the impact grenades so that you have more impact available to you. That might be useful. You wouldn't get the surge to crit, but that's a potential possibility to look at as well. Some other grenades that would be interesting, but we're going to cut this off now. This video's already gone quite a bit of time. So there you go. There's the analysis of the Blackstone Enforcers, and my judgment here is that these are a great unit. Yeah, they are short range. You don't want to do a lot of these guys, but one of these units or 2 of these units in your army would be a very deadly thing against, most units once you get into range, and they're very survivable with that red die of defense and the surge token and the blacks. All of this together these guys are a very survivable unit with a crazy damage output. Hope you liked the video. Be sure to hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you in another episode.